You're listening to the Following On Daily podcast out here in India. I'm Neil Manthorp and I'll be joined by double Ashes winner Steve Harmison and the former Ireland batter Cath Dalton to look back at day one of the second test between India and England, with India closing on 336 for 6 here in Visakhapatnam after an unbeaten, brilliant 179 from opener Yashasvi Jaiswal. We'll get exclusive reaction from the England camp as Andrew McKenna speaks with debutant off-spinner Shoaib Bashir. And Chetan Narula will discuss the big talking points concerning India. So plenty to come as always over the next 25 minutes or so. You're listening to Following On. Well, absolutely cracking day's cricket. India won the toss, chose to bat first, and they'll be well pleased with a total of 336 on the board, but they did lose 6 wickets and on a very flat surface, offering no more than slow and gentle spin, little else for England's bowlers. They toiled away. Ben Stokes was creative with his field placing and moved his bowlers, shifted his bowlers around. There were 2 wickets for Rian Ahmed, 2 for 20, well, they're both 20 years old, 2 for 20-year-old off-spinner Shoaib Bashir on debut, 2 for 100, Rian Ahmed finishing with 2 for 61. But there were times with the brilliant Jaiswal scoring in bursts when England looked like they might not know where their next wicket was coming from. But they always found a way, and remarkable statistic as India became the first team in Test match history to lose 3 of their top 6 in the 80s in the first Test match. This time around, it was the first time ever that numbers 3, 4, 5 and 6 were all out between 25 and 35. So not making the best of good starts. And if it hadn't been for left-hander Jaiswal, that would have been very, very much England's day. But a couple of wickets in the last hour will leave the tourists in very good spirits indeed, particularly with the debut of Shoaib Bashir alongside me, Steve Harmison. Once again, I mean, not an entirely breathless day, but very few quiet periods in it. The game does move forward very quickly when England are playing, and I have to say that on that pitch, having been asked to bowl first, 6 wickets is a very good reward for a day's hard work.
Absolutely. I think Ben Stokes will be in the dressing room right now talking about the pride and of what his team have done, because you look at the bowling attack, you've got Jimmy Anderson on 184 Test matches, Joe Root, who had a good day up in Hyderabad, but then you look around and you go, there's not many first-class matches, never mind Test matches, between the rest of them. I think there's less than sort of 40 first-class matches between the other 3 spin bowlers. So that and all tells you, I think, I would imagine Ben would have had his heart in his mouth when he lost the toss and bowled first on what is a very, very good Test match. I think a very good Test match wicket. But his team backed him up. I thought that England were very, very good in the field. They took their catches, and I think from a partnership point of view, they complemented each other very, very well. When somebody was bowling tight and challenging in and around the off stump, the other bowler backed him up, and then the other bowler backed him up, and they kept doing that. There was a little passage where there was the odd ball in would be overpitched, and I'd take a huge amount of credit Jaiswal, because to bat throughout a day 257 balls for his 179 I thought was fantastic. But all in all, I think as an England fan, I couldn't be any more prouder than my team watching the way Rian Ahmed at 19, Shoaib Bashir at 20 have gone about their daily work. It's brilliant I think it's brilliant for the short-term England, but I think it's a sign that England's future from a spin bowling department has finally got something to talk about.
Cath Dalton is enjoying the day with us as well. Cath, England will be well pleased with 6 wickets, as we have discussed, particularly with India selecting the extra batter. This is the kind of ground where you go massive in the first innings and try and put 500 on the board and basically make the Test match safe. And with Jaiswal going so well, it looked like India could do that, but just at the right time and time again, they managed to find a way to take wickets, and there were a couple of loose shots of a little bit of profligacy once again amongst the Indian top order, but for such an inexperienced spin attack, very good day. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I think England will be really impressed with how their bowlers have gone about it today, and as you said, manners at crucial times. They seem to have picked up wickets. As soon as you felt like India were in the ascendant seat, you thought they're gaining a bit of momentum here. They had a couple of players maybe on 27 or 30. Then they'd pick up a wicket, or the ball would keep a little bit lower, and that just swung it back in England's favour. And I'm just really impressed with, as we've all been saying, how young this spin attack is. But it's actually credit, I think, to the management, to the coaches, to Ben Stokes himself, and the culture they're creating to allow these young players to feel comfortable. I know Bashir spoke about that quite a lot, how he came into this environment. This is international level sport. This is in India. This is the hardest test you can probably get, and he's gone in and he's looked comfortable from the get-go. And I think that's massive credit to the coaching staff and the culture that they're creating. And it's so different to an England team of maybe 10 years ago, where it was a higher stake. It was harder to get into the team. It was, if you didn't do well, then lots of questions would be asked. But this side just seemed to back their players, and as a player yourself, that would be incredible.
A couple of highlights. The first one for me came just after the first drinks break in the morning session, when it was Shoaib Bashir who took the first wicket, and it was of the Indian captain. It's a wicket he will never forget for the rest of his life. Caught at leg slip brilliantly by Ollie Pope, and a completely legitimate dismissal, turning it into the right-handed Rohit Sharma. He flicked it off his pads, leg slip was there, Pope took the catch, and the celebration from Shoaib Bashir was entirely fitting. As I say, a wicket he'll never forget. Shubman Gill caught behind by Ben Foakes off the incomparable Jimmy Anderson for 34. Anderson was outstanding, 1 for 30 in 17 overs, and he was bowling for wickets as well. That shows you the respect that the Indian batsman top order had for him. Shreyas Iyer also caught by Ben Foakes off the bowling of Tom Hartley was another highlight. It was a bottom edge, one of the hardest to take. The ball kept low anyway, and a bottom edge from Shreyas Iyer, brilliantly taken in his fingertips by Ben Foakes. Rajat Padittar on debut, bowled by Rian Ahmed, a top spinner. He defended the ball and it spun back onto his stumps. He was gone for 32. Akshar Patel and Shrikar Bharat, the local man, both out, caught at backward point, tired shots really, and a lack of concentration towards the end of the day. 2 wickets in that last hour that put a spring in England's step. Akshar Patel making 27 and Shrikar Bharat 17. But Yashasvi Jaiswal was outstanding, Harmy, and we mentioned very early on that he seemed to have the tempo absolutely right. He scored at a run and ball, batted like a millionaire in Hyderabad, and was out in the 80s. One of 3 of the top 6 to be out in the 80s. This time he was happy to absorb pressure at various points. Scored in bursts, didn't he? He had big overs here and there. I don't think it was necessarily because of bad balls, but he would attack at specific moments. Goodness knows why, but but then he would again defend, and then score in bursts once again. And 179, just a brilliant innings.
Yeah, it was, and I think when you look at how he went about that innings, he defended the length ball very, very well, and because there wasn't as much spin or deviation, he made the bowler come to him, and he waited for the bowler to come to him. So, Tom Hartley especially, Joe Root, when they were bowling that good length ball, they were solid in defence and said, right, you're not getting past that. And then you as a bowler have to try and make something, to do something different, try and make a play to try and disrupt the batter and move the batter around the crease to try and make him make a mistake. And more often than not, it was the full ball that England went to. Hartley bowled it a little bit fuller, and as soon as he bowled that little bit fuller or that little bit slower, Jaiswal either hit it straight back down the ground or hit it over the top of extra cover just to release the pressure. So there were pockets where he was in defence quite solid, but he waited for the ball which was either over pitched or slightly short, and when he got that, he cashed in, and it was a brilliant construction of an innings.
And the Indian point of view from Chetan Narula, I have to say, you were very critical of the batsmen in Hyderabad for batting like millionaires, even though they got a first innings lead of 190. Once again, as I said, there was some carelessness there. I mean, 3, 4, 5 and 6 out between 25 and 35, and it hadn't been for Jaiswal, it would have been an emphatic day for England.
I still think it's an emphatic day for England. I mean, on that strip, if you end up with 6 wickets, with only one batter scoring 100 plus and none other scoring 40 runs, in fact, I think this is absolutely an emphatic day for England, and none of the Indian batters, barring Jaiswal, crossed the 40-run mark. On a pitch like that, it's an absolute travesty. And we were talking on the call, I think I was on with Harmy himself. India haven't had good batting pitches in the last 3-4 years. This is perhaps the best batting track in India for Test cricket since 2019-2020. And we don't have batters to support a centurion who's scoring 150 plus. That's an absolutely travesty. I think that's an absolutely shoddy batting display from India once again.
Well, don't hold back, Chetan. Tell us what you really think. No, but again, with Ashwin at the crease now, and just Kuldeep Bumrah and Mukesh Kumar to come, they've got to make sure they get to 400 now.
They absolutely have to get 400 on that batting track, but is that enough on a surface like this, where I assure you England will be scoring at more than 4.5 and over. They were scoring at almost 4.5 in Hyderabad, where it was turning from day one. So from that perspective, I think India are already behind the curve in this game. And let me just give you one small example of how India are messing up their batting lineup. Akshar Patel, yes, he's fantastic at number 9, 8, lower down the order. I mean, that gives you a certain freedom to play the way you want. But if you're sending him at number 6, there's a problem in there. And what does that problem say? That Shikhar Bharat is not good enough to bat at number 6? Then send Ravichandran Ashwin. And if Ravichandran Ashwin is not in great touch, that he can't bat at number 6, then play an extra batter. So for me, India are just... they're not... I think this is unserious cricket, to be very honest. I'll be very, very honest. Rajat Patidar looked more stable than Shubman Gill and Shreyas Iyer have managed to do in the last 8 to 10 months. I'm repeating myself again. England are already ahead in this match.
Well, if India are under pressure, Harmy, it's not self-applied. England are applying it.
No, England are applying it. And I think largely down to the fact that Ben Stokes is in control of the start of every session, and that comes back to the selection of Jimmy Anderson. If Jimmy Anderson bowls the first 4 overs of every session, then that stops the run rate escalating. You might get a couple of boundaries from the other end, but you know for a fact that Jimmy's going to go at 2 and over, and you're in control of the session. So the pressure is starting to be applied, and then you've got your younger bowlers that come on, and you're giving them a little bit of license of freedom to express themselves, and that's what Ben and Brendan in this model wants them to do. So because Anderson in this day so far, he's bowled 17 overs for 30. More often than not, he's bowled 4 or 5 overs at the start of the session, going 2 and over, and he's basically putting pressure on the Indian batters for the first 45 minutes of that session. And then it's up to the batters to go out of second gear to get into 4th or 5th gear if they want to up the scoring rate. And I think because of that, that's where we've seen quite a few mistakes. So I think all in all, collectively, as a team, I think England have bowled and fielded very, very well today.
And let's finish on a positive from an Indian point of view with you, Chetan, and talk about Jaiswal. We know that technically he's got all the shots in the book, but from a temperament perspective, was this a career-defining innings?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the first knock that he plays was in West Indies, and with all due respect, West Indies aren't known to be the best of the Test opposition at the moment. I mean, yes, they've just beaten Australia, and they caused India all sorts of problem, but if you score hundreds in England or Australia or South Africa, they obviously count for more. But then you come back home, and he hasn't played a lot of cricket at home, a lot of international cricket at home. To get that 100, and especially when I say there is no other batter who's crossed the 40-run mark, it showed a kind of resilience in Jaiswal that he can go on and play a big knock. You know, we call them daddy hundreds here. A concept that was coined by Virat Kohli. Look, Jaiswal could have thrown it away after that 100-run mark, and he was playing a little attacking cricket at that particular time. But he saw the situation, he read the situation, India were losing wickets, he bedded down for the long haul, and I think it just shows the kind of temperament he has. He's a big game player, and I think he's going to carry the Indian batting flag forward for the next 5 to 7 years across all formats. I have believed that ever since I first saw him, and I think he proves that to not only just to me, but to everybody with every passing outing.
I thought it was Graham Gooch who coined the daddy hundreds. But talking of daddies, Cath Dalton, talking of daddies, word about Jimmy Anderson from you, please.
Oh, he's phenomenal, isn't he? He's just absolutely incredible at his age to be putting out performances like that in Indian conditions. He's so consistent over the years, and he was brilliant with the new ball up top for England today. And I just don't think we're going to see anyone on the likes of Jimmy ever again. It's just that control he gives England, the consistency, and also the head of knowledge and experience that he has. Talking about the pitch, actually, I think, you know, it was covered for a long time, wasn't it? There was a lot of suspicion that it was going to rag and turn square, and actually it's not done that. It's not done what everyone expected it to do. So potentially the toss was maybe more important than we realised.
Well, we're sitting looking at the pitch now, and there's 7 or 8, if not 10, members of the ground staff covering it and protecting it and nursing it. It really is. They're treating it like a poorly child, aren't they?
They are, yeah. They've got the picnic blankets on it, haven't they? There's about 10 picnic blankets covering the pitch at the minute. I'm just waiting for high tea to come out in the wicket basket so they can sort of sit there. It's a big thing for India at tea time, so. It's a good surface, and one I expect England to not just make runs on, but make runs quickly on, because the size of this ground is relatively small. The outfield is not lightning quick, but it's lush and it goes across the ground. We've seen very little reverse swing because of the lushness of the surrounding areas, and there's no real bare patches to throw the ball into from an other wicket point of view. Both bowl and practice wickets are really green, so there's no areas where you think the ball could get scuffed. So from a batting point of view, England's first innings, if they can get over that new ball and get in, if England do bat and bat well, they could make a number and a number very, very quickly and put pressure really on India if England can bowl India out for less than 400.
It is the most immaculate outfield I've seen anywhere in the world, never mind just in India. There are no bare patches on it at all. Seriously, if it was a golf fairway, you'd be worried about taking a divot. It's that immaculate. In terms of the game moving forward quickly, it will start to do that probably from the end of day 2 into day 3. The pitch will provide more and more problems and questions for the batters, and I think that they may lie more in consistent bounce than turn. It will turn more, but I don't think it'll turn quickly.
No, I don't think it'll turn quickly, but I think the bounce, when you get turn and bounce, even if it turns slowly and it doesn't bounce, you're comfortable to bat on. You can play against big spin if it's turning slowly, but if it's turning slowly but bouncing, then all of a sudden that, especially with somebody like Axar bowling quickly, and then that puts a seed of doubt into the batter's mind. I think the unevenness of the bounce, we've seen glimpses of it, and then we've talked about it being the sort of patchy when it comes to where the cracks are, and they'll probably start moving day 3, day 4. The history of the test matches that I've played here in the past tells you first innings is a big total, then not so big, then not so big, then a really small total, 4th innings to win the match. But I think if India get 400, then that if it runs across the history where it goes from a big total to then something similar or just a little bit lower, I think it'll change in this game because of England's scoring rate. England might bat the same amount of time as the team's history that bats second in this game, but because of the way England bat, I think England could be ahead of India and then ahead of the game. And then if England are ahead of the game, you're thinking what happened in Hyderabad. You'd back England to sort of win out the match, especially against the India side, who are, I think, devoid of a little bit of confidence at the minute, apart from 1 or 2 players.
Well, no doubt about the player of the day, Yashasvi Jaiswal's brilliant 179, but our player of the day from England's perspective is Shoaib Bashir, 28 overs on the first day of a test match on debut, 2 for 100, and here he is chatting to Andrew McKenna.
Shoaib Bashir, a test match cricketer. Congratulations, the end of day 1. How does it feel?
If you were to tell me that 2 years ago, I would laugh. But yeah, it was a very special moment, receiving my test cap, and yeah, for me to get Rohit Sharma as my first wicket was very, very special.
That's the thing, isn't it? No matter what happens now, You got Rohit Sharma. You got Rohit Sharma for your first Test wicket, one of the biggest names ever.
Yeah, he's a great player of spin as well. So yeah, just look so grateful to God and my family. They've supported me through thick and thin. I had a lot of ups and downs in my journey. So yeah, I just want to thank them as well.
Can we touch on your journey? You mentioned the last couple of years. The last couple of weeks haven't exactly been easy either. Obviously a situation that you got stuck in Abu Dhabi. Were you concerned that you would ever get it, that you would never get to India and be a part of this?
No, I always knew I'd get the visa. I did have a few troubles with it, but look, we're here now and I got to make my debut on such a special day, so yeah.
Does it make it more special that you had to go through that?
It makes it more memorable, yeah. Yeah, had a bit of trouble, bit of hassle with it, but yeah, to come out to India now and yeah, make my Test debut is just, yeah, unbelievable.
I know England ummed and ahed about the final 11. Ben had a big meeting with Brendan McCullum and Ollie Pope yesterday. So when did you know that you were definitely playing? I
found out at training yesterday. We got to training and Stokesy and Baz came up to me and gave me a pat on the back saying you'll get your cap tomorrow. And yeah, it was just such a surreal moment. Again, looking back, it's had a lot of ups and downs, and yeah, just crazy.
And you got your cap from, of course, a teammate. Jack Leach was the man who presented it. What was that like?
Yeah, he had some nice words to say. Me and him got on really well. We're very tight, and he's the one that sort of saw me on the scene when I was playing for Somerset Twos. So yeah, he was just talking about how proud everyone is of me and family and my journey, and yeah, it was just so special receiving it from him as well. Yeah, crazy.
So let's look at the day then. India are past 300. They've won the toss and batted, so that's not unexpected. 6 down. I mean, what do England think? Are you sort of thinking that's actually an even day or a better than even day?
Yeah, look, the wicket didn't offer much as we probably thought. We thought I had a bit of turn with the new ball, but yeah, I think to pick up 6 wickets now has been very good, and we go again tomorrow. Hopefully get a breakthrough and get batting out there.
Got to talk about Jaiswal, who batted all day out there in the heat, and he's still going, cramping up towards the end. It's a heck of a knock, wasn't it?
Yeah, very good player. This is the first time I've really seen someone bat for quite long, and yeah, he's a quality player, and he's batted very well. Credit to him.
Congratulations, enjoy your evening. I'm sure you're going to sleep very well tonight, but as soon as the head hits the pillow, do it all again tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
A man of great skill and great charm as well, and I think he'll be doing a few more interviews with the media in the years to come. A wonderful day of Test cricket. India closed on 336 for 6, with Yashasvi Jaiswal set to continue on the second morning on 179 in the company of R. Ashwin on 5. Hope you've enjoyed the day's play. Don't forget, more ball-by-ball commentary exclusively to talkSPORT 2, beginning at 4 a.m. UK time tomorrow. We'll be on air with you 5 minutes before that. Hope you've enjoyed the day. Look forward to another one tomorrow.